This topic says or talks about yes, it talks about the gender equality, but we are going to talk about Rwanda's commitments on bridging the gender digital divide. Yes, in the studios, I'm joined by the famous Sylvie Sanga and also Sandrine Umukunzi is the head of programs of Save Generations organization. Yes, they're going to have a good time with us, explaining a lot about our topic today. Sylvie Sanga is the feminist, the known feminist and digital inclusion activist, and I know you guys are going to enjoy the program. We are going to run the show till 9 a.m. So without wasting any time, let me start by welcoming you to the show. Good morning, Sylvie.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And also Sandrine Mukunzi. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're
Morning.
How are you in Save Generations?
We are very fine. Save Generations organization. Currently, we were also involved in this campaign, talking on raising awareness on this topic that we are going to be talking about. How we can bridge this gap in gender digital divide.
Yeah. Yes, Sylvie. First of all, people need to understand what is gender digital divide. First of all, to have more of the discussion, we need to know what is the gender digital divide. First of all.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe before talking about the gender digital divide, we can talk about the divide itself. What do we mean by a digital divide? A digital divide has been documented as the gap in access usage of technology between different demographics of people. For example, when you are talking about the difference between the rich and the poor to access services, different services, now when it comes to technology, we call them digital divide. When we are talking about the difference between access to internet between the rural and the urban, itself it's a divide. When we are talking about my privilege, me, to access digital divide as an educated woman, as an educated citizen versus the person who's not educated. And when you are talking about my ability to use technologies than someone living with disabilities. So in general, digital divide is the difference of different people accessing technology or enjoying this revolution we are talking about. So coming now to the gender digital divide, it's the difference between men and men really being part of this digital revolution we are talking about. So, narrowing it to the Rwandan situation, it means we are a digital government. We are really pushing innovations for people to enjoy different services, to access them conveniently. So how are men and women really accessing this technology? How are they enjoying it? How are they safe using it? How are they really accepted even in the society? Because when a woman is developing a solution, maybe we'll deep dive, is it the same perception when a man is working on the same solution? That is what we are calling the gender digital divide.
Well, yes, there is a forum that took place last week in Paris.
Yeah.
It's called Generation Equality Forum. The woman called Mfumuzile Mlambo Njuka is the executive director of UN Women.
Yeah.
There is this word she said. I want us to listen to this just a few seconds, and I shall come and comment about it. Okay.
Women everywhere in the world are squeezed into a small corner. Women make up 1/4 of those who are managers. They are 1/4 of parliamentarians around the world. They are 1/4 of those who negotiate in climate change. They are less than 1/4 of those who negotiate peace agreements. And all these decisions have a fundamental impact in their capacity to have a life that is meaningful.
Yeah, you heard that. Do you agree with her?
Yes, I agree with her. But first, let me give a background on generation equality. Generation equality was a forum which was hosted by the government of France, Mexico, and the UN Women, of course. And it's a forum where policymakers, government, authority, civil society, private sector, and activists really took place. It took place in Paris for 3 days, and it was really one of the biggest gender equality forums since 95. As you know, in 95, there was the Fourth World Conference on Gender Equality and Women Empowerment in Beijing, and it took so many decisions, so many commitments to move really gender equality, to dream about an equal world. And 25 years after, again, the same people, decision makers and the activists, they realized that really nothing much was done, if I can say it. Something was done, but really things didn't happen as they dreamed. So the world agreed again to have a more shorter forum, which is really like 5 years, like this one from 21 to 25, to agree on a change, not really to come up with commitment, not to come up with promises, but to have a forum of actions. What do you mean? Really, the Paris Forum was a forum for action. It wasn't a forum of policymakers going and making speeches. It was a forum where they were really talking about clear actions on what they are going to do, when they are going to do it, and how much they are going to invest.
Yes.
So when the executive director from Zila was really talking about the global situation of women, it was really hurting for me as an activist to see that the last 25 years we have been talking about gender equality and much really is not seen as it's just because we had decision makers, policy makers making speeches, promising, and there was no accountability. So the forum actually itself is based on principles of accountability, financing, making sure that education is part of it, making sure that there is mutual accountability between what the civil society is promising, what the government is promising, and really that synergy and strong partnership. So we are lucky in Rwanda today. We have more than 50% of women in parliament. We have really more than 50% in cabinet, which is something I will die celebrating as an activist in Rwanda. It's a privilege for me. And we are still really seeing gap because having policies and those policies translating in real change, it's a process. It's a process we are in. It's a process we are fighting for, all of us. And really, her speech was a call to show how inequalities will delay development. If we are having 1/4 of something in a certain, it means that there is a big percentage of people who are missed on the table of decision making. And if those people are not on the table, their ideas will not be heard, and more likely the programming will not be showing the right narrative. So there is always something rich when people sit together and come up with diverse ideas, because they are the one which, when you bring an idea, I bring mine, we argue. Of course, arguing, I'm not meaning fighting, but we argue intellectually. There is a chance that the product of our argument will be really inclusive and will serve many people. So she really showed the current global state of women, and I think world leaders understood. And specifically, coming again to the generation equality, it's a forum which agreed on 6 sets of actions to lead the world. One of it was really to promote an inclusive economy. What do we mean by inclusive economy? It's an economy where all of us we found ourselves in, where your effort as a man is counted for, is recognized. My effort as a woman is counted for and recognized. They really talked about climate change and feminism. Again, I know feminism, it's a very taboo topic in our communities, but unfortunately, this forum actually was called a biggest feminist forum, meaning feminism. I think maybe it's better to start talking about it. It's not much. If you want, you can't call yourself a feminist, like myself, who calls myself feminist. But feminism is really those set of ideology, politics, really, and actions, advocacy around making sure that people are having the same opportunities, human rights is being respected, and focusing on those demographics which are really having hard time, people living with disabilities, minorities in different fields, including women. And what you and I and anyone on the road will accept that women globally have been left behind, specifically in our patriarchal sectors, where women have been always taking a back seat, not a front seat, not a center seat. I know in our culture they always say that women were ruling, that the mother queen was ruling, but me as an activist, I don't want to rule in your back. I want both of us to rule, both of us to agree on something. So I was saying this forum had 6 global action promoting inclusive economy, feminist climate change, making sure that we promote sexual reproductive health and autonomy, because when women's health isn't centered, really there is consequence. When women aren't being given family planning, when women's health in general isn't okay, the country cannot be healthy. And there was also strengthening feminist movement and leadership, because it have seen that countries which has adopted the feminist ideology like ours have advanced. You can really yourself see the advancement of Rwanda in different sectors, because they have really put women at the center. If the last 25 years, we have left women behind, we couldn't have seen even this result we are seeing. And finally, as a feminist technology, let me add that I was so happy to see that the world also decided about technology and innovation to push, and which is the commitment we are going to talk about of Rwanda.
Yeah, Sandrine had something to add on.
Yeah, I had a small comment, as she explained very well about what you have asked about on that speech of that woman. I remembered one said that what you are doing without me, you are doing against me. Means if we have such percentage of women who are not involved in decision making, or such laws that are put in place, somehow they are affecting me. I don't have my voice. There's no my voice which advocating me, or which are saying if in the laws this might be benefiting for me. So sometimes we find that we have to raise that voice of women also to be heard in terms of what they want to be done, in terms of the policies that are made, and in terms of those laws that are made, or even negotiations. Why can't we be a good peacemakers? Why we are not involved in that? So we need really to advocate, because as she said, in Rwanda we are very, very lucky. We have a good political will. We see that those policies, gender equality, we have a family promotion ministry which is very involved in that, but we have to see how it is communicated, or how that is going to reach in those people from the rural areas. We want to see those policies on the ground, not reading them in the papers or news. We want them to be practical on the ground, as she was saying.
Yes.
This forum was a forum of actions, commitments, but really want to see them to be channeled, so they can reach into the ground. That was very short.
Yeah, thank you. Now, we are talking about gender digital divide. Someone may ask himself, do we really have this gender digital divide in Rwanda? This would be an interesting question. Do we have it?
Thank you very much. As you know, technology is really new. Not only in Rwanda, but globally there is little participation, if I can say, of women in this field. So when we are talking about the gender digital divide, we are talking about first access to the tools. Who has the tools in the hand? That is the first question you see around. And when you are talking about the tools, you are talking about TV, you are talking about different the radios, any electronic around. Yes. And you will see the tendency even when you grew up. For example, when there is a match and the father enters in the house. I like giving this example because it's so common. You know, the father will drive the discussion in that house because there is a match and he likes a match. And maybe it's not interesting to everyone. When it's time to news, we all remember it in our young. It means it's time to change everything. So, and you'll see the tendency is that because of our culture, to have power on resources, it was something really reserved to men. Now, when you go to usage, we understand that education can't match. And statistics are showing, not only in Rwanda, everywhere, that women already are facing challenges of literacy and numeracy, to know how to count, to know how to read even your name. So the majority are women. Definitely, they are the majority of people who will not know how to use the digital divide. But it doesn't mean that being educated is being digital educated. That there is a difference. It's not only a matter actually of having the tools in your hand. It's not a matter of having the knowledge. It's also understanding why do you need this technology and what do you need it for. It's what we call relevance. It means for women to use technology, that technology needs to be relevant to them. So I want you to tell me, if I'm a farmer, and we know the majority of women are into farming, and why do you want me to use technology to make a podcast? That is not my field. My field, my job is into farming. So the technology I need is those technology into farming, those technology which respond to my need. Like me at my age, I'm a professional woman. I'm in the age of delivering kids. The technology I need is not the technology my grandmother needs. So women have specific needs. And we have seen that women are macromanaging, are into childcare, are into doing the work, different job at home. Now come this wave of calling women to go into professional jobs. So I need technology to multitask. I need technology to help me jungle all those things I'm doing. And we'll find the majority of technology. If today I need to know things, and I need to know them in my language. So when we mean relevance, it's really fast language, but it's also something which responds to me. So you will find the fact that the majority of women are not educated. Technology are coming in foreign languages which are not responding to their needs. So if we are to bring the technology in the hand of people, we need to contextualize them, and you will find that technology aren't yet contextualized much to the needs of local people. We are still taking technologies developed in New York, in Paris, in London, and copy them from all over. This is not an issue of Rwanda only. It's an issue of developing countries which are mainly depending on brought-up solutions. But the good thing, Rwanda has really a plan to promote local SMEs into technology and startup to make sure that they are starting bringing solutions which respond to our needs. So as activists, what we are calling is really to have solutions which are affordable, because those solutions need to be affordable for people to access them. As we know, women don't have money in their hand. If you bring solutions which are not affordable, they will not. If the internet is expensive, if I buy my pack and after a few minutes it disappears, the issue we are seeing of telecom companies, really, we don't understand what is going on. I think you have seen a complaint online and everywhere. Women are going to be likely less interested in venturing, in putting their little money into buying those packs which disappear without using them. So empowering women, it's not one person job. It's not the government job. The government is there to put the right environment, to put the policies, to continue following, but the private sector has a great role. And the Paris summit was driven by civil society, by private sector. If you see the money which was invested, which was committed, it's from really big private sector corporation. It's not only about a government forum. So the gender digital divide will not really close if everyone is not coming on board, bringing the right narrative, the right costing of, but also accountability. I want to insist on it. It means who is giving this service? Is this service really fair or cost effective? We need to have people who are monitoring, the people who are selling devices, the people who are selling internet, the people who are giving digital skills. They need to someone need to regulate the price so that we have seen a complaint also on this e-commerce platform where someone who wants to sell something is being asked 50% of the product you are selling. You give it to those companies. I don't want to name their name, but they know themselves. Someone needs to be in the middle and protect the need of consumers. So this is what we are calling digital rights. As much as citizens have the right and the freedom to use technology, they need to have a certain level of responsibility, and the responsibility of corporations is not really to gain out of this pandemic, because they have seen people are depending on technology, they are raising price the way they want. That is something which will make women more likely not use the service.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yes, we are approaching adverts, but before we advertise, we know what Rwanda has done so far to bridge the gap. And the president talked about it in the Gender Equality Forum. We are going to listen to him in a few minutes to come. But so far, what do you say about Rwanda's commitment to bridge the gap? Anyway, maybe before we talk about that, because we are remaining just a few seconds to adverts, we can have just a few seconds we advertise and then we come back talking about this in general. Yes, that was a short break. We're talking about the commitments and what Rwanda has done to bridge the gap, and also to see what is going to be done in a few years to come. But before we go to that, we can first listen to the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, participating in the Gender Equality Forum. Took place in Paris, what he said, and maybe we can rise to that and have comments about it.
Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Generation Equality Forum is the most significant platform for advancing gender equality in today's world. I wish to commend President Macron of France and President López Obrador of Mexico for championing this initiative together with UN Women Executive Director Pumzile Mlambo Nguka. Rwanda is particularly happy to be associated with the Action Coalition for Technology and Innovation for Gender Equality. Let me tell you about Rwanda's plans and commitments in this area. First, we aim to bridge the gender gap in digital access by 2026. We will do this in 3 specific areas: ownership of smartphones, access to digital financial services, and science, technology, and math studies at the upper secondary level. Second, we will ensure that our innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem is fully inclusive by doubling the number of women and girls supported by innovation centers. Rwanda has also engaged the East African community in pursuit of possible joint commitments in these domains. Achieving gender equality in technology and innovation is just one part of the wider struggle to guarantee equal rights and opportunities for women and girls. Every human being, regardless of gender, should be able to live the life that they choose. That is the commitment we are all making through the Generation Equality Forum, inspired by the historic outcome of the Fourth World Conference on Women a quarter century ago. Let's stay the course, and I thank you for your kind attention.
Yes, that was His Excellency Paul Kagame commenting about or giving his remarks in the Gender Equality Forum. Sylvie, I want you to help me, even with Sandrine. We're going to go one by one commitments he mentioned in the speech. There is this one called ownership of smartphones. And access to financial services. We can combine them.
Yes.
What do you say about this?
I just want to, I'm not a political analyst, but I really want us to come back a little bit behind and understand that President Kagame has been really repeatedly and boldly showing the importance of technology for development. As you know, for the last 20 years, Rwanda has been on a journey to strengthen its digital ecosystem, setting up the infrastructure. All of us who have been passing on the road, digging, and even someone who's not really educated know we were digging road because we want to put fiber optic, that is Ngo fiber. Yeah. Everyone was talking about. So we remember many years ago people doing that. And today we can say more than 95% of the whole country has really the fiber optic. And we have seen really mass increase of government services becoming digital. We have seen, especially the finance sector. I will tell you why I'm coming up to the finance, which is one of his commitments. We have seen different policies, people talking. I'm not representing the government here, but as a citizen, I know what is there. You and I, we know that Irembo is there. We know that they have been saying about Smart Rwanda strategy, a strategy really to make sure that Rwanda becomes smart. So there is already a foundation which was laid for Rwanda even before the pandemic. Yeah, sure. So why actually our government didn't shut down when the pandemic came, because other countries government shut down because they didn't have e-government platform. They call them e-government platform. They didn't have e-commerce platforms. They didn't have fintech systems and all those system banks are using. So those governments were really badly hit by the pandemic.
Okay.
Citizens couldn't access service. So now when it comes to technology and women, we remember all of us President Kagame being called a he for she champion last 5 years. Again, President Kagame committed the 3 commitments. And the first one was bridging the gender digital divide, making sure women, devices are accessible to women, they're touching them, they're using them, and they're having the skills. And also he came back to something called STEM, making sure that we are doubling the number of girls going to study STEM. What does it mean? Last 5 years ago, he committed to have girls and women accessing STEM, TVET, and etc. So for President Kagame, he knows that technology is very important, and he knows that women being part of it, it's very important, because as I always say, as the world is become digital, as our era is become digital, if women are digitally excluded, they will be categorically excluded, because if all services are coming online, if even me as a mother to get a birth certificate, it is online. If you don't now bring me into that online thing we are talking about, I'm going to remain behind. So the Generation Equality Action on Technology had 4 thematic key areas. And what the first one is what the president talked about, bridging the gender gap in access and competencies. Access, it means having that tool. Competence, it means knowing how to use it. So President Kagame says, we are going to bridge this digital divide, and we are going really to increase competence of people. And specifically, he said, because you can really focus on many things, he said, we are going to make sure that women use this for business. For entrepreneurship. Women order. I can be here, I order online in China good and I sell them here. We are going to make sure that they are financially and digitally included, because a woman who has money in her hand, that woman, her child will be healthy, that woman, her child will be educated. They like say will be more likely educated, but I like being categorical and say a woman who has money in her hand, her child will be healthy and her child will be educated. So I, beyond even saying I'm going to make sure women have the devices in their hand, I will increase mobile phone penetration. And we have seen the government of Rwanda doing so through this campaign, Connect Rwanda, where they have been giving people, community, in the community, mobile phone, and specifically the ICT sector and agriculture sector and the women's sector. In the Women's Month, they gave women farmers and cooperative smartphone, because they know the value of smartphone. I can take a picture of my birai, I sell it, I show you that my birai are now ready, you can buy it, my veggie, my fruit, and anything. So it's four sub area in the commitment, but President Kagame committed 2 of them. One, as I said, is bridge the gender digital access and competence. The second one is invest in feminist technology and innovation. The third one is build inclusive, transformative, and accountable innovation ecosystem. And the fourth one is prevent and eliminate online tech facilitated GBV. So President Kagame, among the 4, committed to 2, but when you are committing to something, it doesn't mean the rest of commitment. Even though Rwanda committed on technology, doesn't mean other commitment on economy, inclusive, and other, they are not going to be implemented. So specifically on those 2 where he said access, he explained it, and build inclusive and transformative ecosystem. When we are talking about access, it means you are talking about financing. It means the government, the civil society, the private sector, they are going to sit together and they make sure that people have access. Those tools are accessible. They're going to make sure that bank can give loans of smartphones, of devices, of computers, because I haven't had any bank here saying you can come, I give you a loan for a mobile phone or a computer for your child. So it means this is an incentive. It's a business opportunity actually for even the private sector to say, the president has promised an inclusive digital ecosystem. Let now us also creating some financial mechanism for this.
Yes.
Really making tools accessible, and tools cannot be accessible if we don't fight things like stereotypes, social norms, which hamper really women to enjoy things, like the power to manage those things, the competence, the urgency of you using something and feeling comfortable. It means, what does it mean for the second commitment he told us about inclusive ecosystem? An inclusive ecosystem is really to create a gender transformation innovation ecosystem and hub. We have innovation hub here, like K-Lab. We have we hear people talking about hubs,
even startups.
Yes. It means if the government of Rwanda has committed to an inclusive and transformative ecosystem, the gender accountability will come in. How are those hubs friendly to boys and girls? Because we know normally it's young people who like going in hub. They're going to put policies in place which increase accountability of hubs, increase accountability of the solutions which will come from the hubs, to make sure that solutions coming from those centers are really reflecting a gender balance, not again driving inequalities. There is an example the UN Secretary General talked about in his speech. After the meeting you will hear it. He gave an example, because the world was patriarchal for so long. So in America, bank systems because even in America, as here a few years ago, women didn't have access to an account. Women didn't have access to go for family planning themselves without the man permission. So in America, bank system, even though you were a woman and you were working, automatically you were supposed to bring the name of your husband on the account, and the system automatically make the husband the owner of the company, of the account, and responsible. So it happened that there was a family where the woman actually was the one even making money, but the man had to be notified every time she wanted to take money, and actually to give permission on your money. So you see, so why we are saying we are going to promote feminist technology. It means those feminists which are not really discriminating anyone, which are not asking if it's my account, why should they ask you permission for me to take money? So technology can be a tool for empowerment. Technology can be a tool to promote people, but at the same time, technology can be a tool to oppress people. If you are taking my information on social media for you to take a decision on me, you understand that you are using my information I have put to oppress me on technology. That is another topic for another day. When we are calling about digital rights, it's my right to enjoy technology, but without forgetting my responsibility also.
Yes, Sylvie, you have a lot to talk about this topic, I know. But with the time we have, we need to also manage it and give the right message that we want people to hear. That is a question somebody has asked me, but I'll come back to it after hearing from the civil society. Sandrine, you can tell us about the civil society, the role of civil society in bridging the gap in gender equality, the gender digital divide. In just a few minutes, we have a few minutes left, and we shall also have some few minutes for this question. It's a very big question, that's why I want us to talk about it.
Thank you. Before talking about the role of civil societies in this bridging this gap, allow me also to comment on one of the commitments that His Excellency Paul Kagame talked about. On this, he said that they will make sure that there will be ownership of smartphones. I take it as an advantage, and as we said, we are very glad that in our government or in our country we have this political will and good one, because we see some of, as she said, when we talk about innovation and creativity, most of those innovations are coming online, and most of the services are delivered online. For example, if we talk about there is e-agriculture, most of the women now are more involved in farming, and we see they're saying that it is better if you buy fertilizers via smartphone, or there is that smart agriculture. If I'm not accessible, or if I don't know how to use that, I will be left behind. I will not access to that fertilizer. Another example I can mention is now we say that we have this sexual and reproductive issues mostly affecting women, and there are many services online teaching or delivering information about this sexual and reproductive health. For example, if we say Tantine, if other platforms that were created, how to deliver those information and services online. Women are the most people affected by those sexual and reproductive health issues, and if I want that information, where should I get them? And they are delivered online. If I don't have access to that smartphone to be able to use it and to get those information, I will be left behind. So it is a very, very initiative and commitment to say there will be ownership of those smartphones, because they will be they will give space to women to access to such services and information provided or delivered online, so they can be useful to them and not be included, not be left behind.
Yes.
But on that, where I come in saying the role of civil societies, we know that there is this challenge of digital literacy. She talked about it. And I think where we come in as civil societies is more than raising awareness, but also say if we have some of our beneficiaries, how are they benefiting? How are we integrating technology as a cross-cutting issue? Because we see, we agree that technology is a backbone of sustainable development, and if we civil societies we are contributing into this achievement of sustainable development, let us also integrate technology as a cross-cutting issue in whatever we are doing. For example, if we are involved in gender promotion, how are we helping women not only to know their rights on gender, but also use technology as a tool that can help them to know their right. Let me use another example. Last time there's a cooperative. Women were producing those cooking stoves. This is what they're doing. It is an empowerment. We were empowering women to be able to produce these things so that can generate some income. But if I'm doing in that rural area, in my community, I'm producing such a good cooking stove, but who will buy it from me? Who will buy it from me? How can I get it, or how can I put it on the market? I will need technology. I will need to do maybe either online. I will need someone maybe to show how to teach me how I can market my production. So it is better if we acknowledge that technology can be a cross-cutting issue and we integrate in the different programs that we have. Another thing that I can mention that as a civil society, where we were talking about this gender divide, we were seeing somehow the gaps. Where is the gaps? Where so far after 25 years, where are we in bridging this gender divide? So it is better if civil societies, we are not only tackling about the gaps, but we are also contributing to bridge those gaps. For example, it was what I have mentioned, to integrate technology in the programs, but also if we see there is this challenge of digital illiteracy, what am I doing to teach my beneficiaries about technology? What am I doing in order to see those policies that the government have committed that can be reached to my beneficiaries? That's what I'm doing. Because civil societies, we are the people who are more close to the communities. How are we transferring that commitment or that policies into the communities?
Well, we are just left with a few minutes.
Allow me to end.
So you can summarize it.
Yes, to close by this. I have heard that there is an initiative called the Ambassadors Program that had been introduced to access digital literacy to the citizens. That was a good initiative. But if for me, as a civil society, I've heard of such a program. I can make sure that that community that I'm working in, people are aware of that initiative. So we can be more inclusive in doing the awareness and also advocacy. I think that could be the most contribution of the civil societies into bridging the gap, making sure that whatever we are doing, women are involved, because we have to believe that women can be innovators, developers, and they're not using the technology on their well-being. They can also be innovators and developers and designing something which can be change-making. She mentioned something like how if a woman innovates something, it is seen in the society. I remember in this pandemic, COVID-19, one of the service that had been created in order to register or to track someone who has been affected by COVID, it has been innovated by a girl. But it has been a a big news. It was an achievement and a good one, but how do we see it? So we have, as civil society, we have to work on awareness, we have to work on people's mind so that can be transformed and changed, seeing that it is something normal, and we have also to work closely with the government in order to know that the society know how to use the technology, especially women. Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Sandrine. We just have like 3 minutes left. I want you to pass a message. Actually, if I had to go through questions people are asking, we could stay here for another 2 hours. But what is now the message to the public listening to you right now, Sylvie, in just a minute? And then we end the show.
Thank you very much. Maybe I will start by the first message, what you asked. The role of the civil society is exactly like this talk show where Save the Generation is really involved in raising the awareness and advocating for the usage of technology for the benefit of everyone, including specifically women. The role of the civil society, as she said, they are with the people. They are the people who knows really the problem of people. So for me, it's really to advise them to direct finance, because the civil society has money to empower people, to improve the lives of people. For me, my message is clear. If you don't embed technology program in whatever you are doing, you aren't going to serve the citizen. For development partners or donors, it's really making sure if you were supporting farmers, accompany that finance with a top-up of technology. So the role of the government is clear, is policy making, putting the infrastructure, making sure that everyone has access. But the role of the civil society was even mentioned in this summit. They were really very much thanked for their role to promote gender equality, to be with the people. So overall, the message is clear, is really trying to... I can't say it's a common message to everyone. I would say the message for the government is really to try to make sure that digital rights are respected, because government has institution in charge of doing that. We have RURA, which monitor what service providers are giving to the citizen. The role of the civil society is really to make sure that they are empowering people, because the framework to bridging the gender digital is clear. It's giving access to the tools, is giving skills, is empowering people. So everyone can find himself or herself in that value chain of giving the right service. And the last thing is really people to change their behavior online, because among the commitment on technology and gender equality is making sure that online space are safe for everyone. As we know, cyberbullying, trolling, and all those things online, they are really affecting women differently than men. And really, today I'm going to emphasize on the role of the civil society also to make the government accountable, to partner with the government, and work together toward promoting gender digital divide.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Sylvie Sanga is the feminist and digital inclusion activist, and also Sandrine Mukunzi, the head of programs at Save Generations organization. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you also, dear listeners, for listening to us. We shall come back next weekend. Then next is News Bulletin here in Rwanda by Dosi Jean Giselle. Let's meet next weekend.